Hello and welcome back to my channel and welcome to this week's Tuesday review video. This week we're going to be taking a look at the Hard Candy Glamoflauge Full Coverage Foundation. This foundation says it has 16 hours of wear and it's oil free. Now in this container you actually don't get a full ounce, you get 0.67 fluid ounces, so a little bit less than you do in a regular foundation. Mine is in the shade Vanilla 1502, and one of the most unique things about this foundation is actually that it comes with a very big doe foot-esque applicator. So rather than a pump or having, no sort of applicator at all, like most drugstore foundations do, this one has this big old doe foot, almost like a jumbo concealer. I bought this from Walmart and it actually cost me $6.98 for just this bottle. Now I will say I was really disappointed at first because I thought there was only a couple of shades of this foundation. At my Walmart, there is a display with only like 6 shades, and each shade looks exactly the same. There was one of like an old packaging there that looked orange, but the rest of them all pretty much just looked exactly like vanilla. So I was ready to shoot this video and just go on this whole rant about what the heck, why does this foundation only come in 6 shades? But it actually does come in, I believe, 18 shades is what it says on the website. And it actually does look like it has a decent sort of shade range, especially for a drugstore foundation, because they don't typically come in a sort of Fenty Beauty style array. So I'm a little bit less mad about that than I was originally. But just a little bit less. So taking a quick look at it on the Hard Candy website, it says Glamoflauge Foundation. Glamoflauge Full Coverage Foundation is oil-free, long-wearing, super smooth liquid makeup that lasts up to 16 hours. Glides on effortlessly, leaving skin looking naturally flawless without caking, creasing, or fading. The lightweight formula offers full coverage, yet feels weightless and comfortable with added vitamin E. So let me just open with the first thing that I don't like about this foundation, and that is actually that big doe foot applicator. I prefer a pump because I prefer the option of figuring out how I want to apply it myself. Because some days I'm feeling a brush, some days I'm feeling a sponge, some days I'm feeling using my hands. But with this, I feel like I don't have an option, because to me the most sensible way to do it is to, smear it on my face with the doe foot applicator and then either rub the rest of it in with my hands or use my sponge. I don't like not having the control that a pump gives you, So as much as, maybe I do like this foundation, like we're going to talk about in a second, I'm not a huge fan of the sort of doe foot applicator for a foundation. It's also a little bit less sanitary. I mean, it doesn't really matter as much when it's just you applying your own foundation to your face over and over again, but I am someone who gets really bad acne sometimes and then has really clear skin sometimes. So I prefer, something that it keeps itself clean by only having a pump, That is my first thing, is that I don't like the applicator. Some people might love the applicator, I'm just not one of them. So I was hesitant to buy this foundation because even though it was only $7, I had tried the Hard Candy Concealer many years ago, the Glamoflauge one that comes in a squeezy tube. And that was before I really even knew anything about makeup, and I remember how much I didn't like it back then. That was before I knew that there was, options. I just kind of thought all concealers were the same. I was, a kid at this point. And it was so thick and so goopy, and I would use it to try to cover, zit or something, and it would just be, like spackle for my face. And I always had it in my head that the Glamoflauge foundation was going to be the same way. I don't know if maybe the Glamoflauge foundation is newly reformulated or whatever, because it does say new on it, and I've seen other packaging, but this foundation is actually surprisingly very nice. It's sort of got a gel type formula where it's thick but it's not heavy, and it definitely does pack a whole lot of coverage to it. For me, when I think about drugstore foundations, it's got a fair amount of coverage. It doesn't have the sort of full coverage. It's not the Huda foundation, but it does have pretty full coverage. I was quite surprised by that. And something I like about it is I was afraid it was going to be very, very dry, and it's actually not. My skin does tend to be on the drier side, especially around my cheeks, and I actually find this foundation helps keep my skin hydrated throughout the day. It's sort of, by the end of the day, I end up a little bit oily, and I would actually prefer that to having really dry, crackly skin. I also feel like as I wear this foundation and it warms up to my skin, it looks better than it does when I first apply it. When I first apply it, it does look a little bit heavy to me and a little bit dry, but then as it wears on, it's sort of almost like it adjusts to my skin tone. See, right now it looks like it's way too pale for me because I did just apply it before starting to shoot this video, but if I waited a few hours, I feel like it kind of adjusts a little bit, and it's not that it's just wearing off because the coverage is still there. I just feel like it adjusts a little bit. Also, I think I bought a shade that was a little bit too light for me to begin with. I do actually think it does a pretty decent job of keeping, my skin hydrated like that, and it does a pretty good job of covering everything as well, and also being a good base for other makeup. I'm quite surprised actually at how much I like this foundation. It's weird actually. When I decided I was gonna do hard candy month, I expected there to be a lot more negative videos in this month, but so far they've all been pretty good. I'm quite surprised, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised because no one wants to buy makeup they don't like. I think one of the best descriptors that they use for this foundation is smooth. Like, it doesn't make my skin dry. It really does just kind of smooth over everything, and it is gel-like, gliding. Those are words that come to mind when I think about how this foundation wears. And another thing that I really like about this foundation is not only does it have a long wear time, like, I do find that I put it on in the morning and it looks great at night too. I mean, I probably should blot because I get a little bit oily, but it's fine. I had not tested 16 hours, but I tested 12, and so that went pretty well. But one of my favorite things about this foundation is I don't find that it transfers a lot. I did hug my sister the other day, and she's, normal size human, and I'm very short, and she was wearing a black shirt. She had a little bit of foundation on her shirt after. Not a lot, just a little bit. And I had it on for a while, so really if I blotted it and it wasn't so oily, it wouldn't have transferred so much. But it transferred onto her a little bit. But one of the most important things for me, though, is that I am someone who is very stuffy all the time. My nose is always aggravated, and I blow my nose, and the Kleenex is not covered in foundation. And that, to me, matters so much, because I hate it when you have foundation on, you blow your nose, and then it's just all this foundation on the Kleenex. Then it's like, okay, not only does this look extra weird now because my foundation is all over the Kleenex, but now I have to figure out some way to, blend my nose to make it look normal again, because I'm just gonna have this foundation hole. I find that it doesn't do that, and that's kind of fantastic. It is a foundation that me, with my sort of combo, dry here and oily on my forehead skin, I do feel like I like to set it down with powder. Maybe if you had more dry skin than me, you probably don't have to set it with as much powder as I like to, but I do prefer to set it because it does because it is thicker and it does have so much moisture in it. I do find that it stays sort of wet feeling if you don't pat it down with some powder. Again, one of the biggest cons for me is the applicator. I just hate it. I wish I had more control the way I would have with a pump. And also, I just feel like I'm gonna end up I don't know. I don't like the doe foot, but that's just me. I understand. Maybe I could get buy a pump, but it's probably too thick. I don't know. If I had to come up with another con of this foundation, I would say it does a little bit have a cheap foundation smell. It does smell a little bit like paint thinner. I don't smell it on my face, but it's really just if I open the bottle and I huff it, it smells a little bit like paint thinner. Not as intensely as the Wet n Wild foundation does, because that one, I just open the bottle at a regular distance and I can smell it. But this one, if I'm really looking for it, I can find a little bit of a paint thinner smell. I guess the natural smell of what the foundation concoction smells like is probably better than too much fake fragrance, I'm gonna say, but it does smell like cheap foundation. That's okay. The bottle is nice. I think this is actually glass and not just thick plastic. So all in all, I'm actually surprised at how much I like this foundation. Between Hard Candy's Glamoflauge foundation here and e.l.f.'s Flawless foundation, I really feel like the drugstore, especially these days, is killing it. I don't know why I insist on continuously trying Sephora foundations and spending $50 on a foundation when there's so many phenomenal ones at such a fraction of the cost, especially with brands like this. Not even Revlon and L'Oreal and that sort of thing. They're really bumping up their prices. But we do have a few key brands still at the drugstore who are keeping their prices lower, and something that, you and I, real people, can actually afford. As much as I was hesitant to buy this foundation, I'm glad I did. I'm not gonna lie, the applicator is kind of a big deal breaker for me, because I know that once I'm done this bottle, I'm not going to buy a new one, because it's not a foundation I'm going to reach for, because I hate the doe foot that much. But if you're someone who doesn't mind the doe foot, you probably would love this foundation, and it's not expensive. Just putting that out there. If you have tried the Hard Candy Glamoflauge foundation, I would actually be really interested to hear what your thoughts are on it, because I don't think I've heard very many people who have tried it, and so far I'm really just going off of my own experiences here, and my experience is that it's actually a pretty nice foundation. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about this, or about any of the Hard Candy products in their entire line in general, because it's just not really talked about, and they've managed to keep a pretty affordable price, and all their packaging is always sort of fun and cutesy, and I don't know, I'm interested on what you think of the brand as a whole, and then also some of their specific products, so let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and you subscribe if you have not subscribed already, and I will see you next time. Bye!